That way I sound, I don't know, I'm trying to just make the microphone sound crispy.
Well, don't fuck up the microphone.
I know, that's the worry.
Like Ice Cube at the NFL draft on Thursday.
Oh my God. Yeah, that was so bad.
Dude, the NFL draft doesn't know what it wants to be.
Nope.
There was so much pomp and circumstance unnecessarily, and then Roger Goodell was like, and here's Ice Cube. Cube, come on up here. And then Ice Cube just screamed into the mic. JP, please play 5 seconds of No Vaseline by Ice Cube.
Goddamn, I'm glad y'all set it off. Used to be hard, now you just went soft. You
Because that's probably what he'd really want to rap at Roger Goodell. And since we went to almost the very end of last episode without a 5 seconds, I had to get it into the opening minutes.
Lean into it. That's good.
That's
I like
how
it.
you balance it. We are a balanced podcast. And this balanced podcast is the Belligerent Beavs Podcast. Hey,
Yeah.
Beaver fam. Hey, listener.
Hey.
It's us, back for the 46th time. A new episode of the Belligerent Beavs Podcast. Episode
We're not
40.
back for the 46th time.
We are back for the 46th time.
Well, we're kind of back for the 45th time. The
God
first
damn.
time we didn't come back. We just started.
Yeah, we were
That's
back
like
from,
a kid saying,
We were back from the dead. We were back from the non-existence. We're back from purgatory.
Okay. I'm
That
into
was
that.
back for the first time.
I'm into that.
And we did a practice episode before that.
Kind of.
So, therefore, the first episode was back for the second time, and it was the first episode.
what was our practice episode?
My face is melting just trying to follow along. Please stop.
There's too much math. We talked about math in the Beaver Fam Focus with Ashton Batuso. Shout out Ashton at Lil Butts on Twitter, which we just recorded before this, which I am assuming is already live on YouTube if you are listening to this, Beaver Fam. So go check that out. Thank you again to Ashton. And check out the soon-to-be forthcoming, maybe sometime soon, 4th issue of Flagrant Magazine. Yeah, that was fun, and it's fun to see you guys here again on a back-to-back second Zoom of the evening. What's up? How's it going?
What's up?
Hey,
It's
hey,
going.
hey!
Oh, it's going.
We are broadcasting live from the Met Gala in New York, New York. We are in with our incredible
jeez.
fashion. Ben is already breaking out the drugs because we are past security at the Met Gala. But every bit of my gut is showing from the Belligerent Beavs crop top that I wore on the red carpet. And
So hot.
we are gonna get kicked out of here very soon. But let's enjoy this time at the Met Gala while we have it. How about that?
Yeah, and Benny, can I ask you a real serious question? Are you able to have that whole thing in one setting?
Oh, God, no. No, this is like dipped in hash oil, too.
That makes it
It's way
Lord.
too intense for this, probably. But it will be fun.
it's gonna be really fun. I thought,
Yeah.
is that your only beverage? We'll get to beverages in a second, but I thought you just grabbed a can of beer as well. But maybe it was your coffee mug.
No, I have a throwback for my beverage.
Oh,
I wonder what that's going to be.
Oh.
I can't wait. If it's a Pabst or a Mickey's, I'm gonna freak the fuck out.
Even better.
I can't wait. Can we go, let's meet up in 2009 and hang out again. How about that?
It is from, well, maybe a little bit later than 2009.
Ooh.
There's a specific time frame that this beverage is in reference to.
Okay.
Okay.
I
Well,
can't.
are we supposed to guess, like when you tell us what it is, or are we guessing now?
You guys mentioned it in our in our Discord chat.
Oh,
We mentioned a lot of things in the Discord chat. And thank you for finally joining the Discord chat.
Yeah.
Benny. After months of eager anticipation. So if you've been on the fence about joining the Patreon, and the kicker was, well, I hear it's only JP and Terry and mostly JP in the Discord and not Benny at all, so I'm not going to do it. Benny's in it now, and I'm trying to be more active. I have notifications turned off on almost everything on my phone to try and cut down screen time.
Dude,
it's not
you and
working.
me both.
But I am in the Discord. I'm trying to engage. If you at me inside in the Discord, I'm not going to get a notification about it, but I will check at some point, and I'll try to get back to you, and we'll engage. So shout out to all of the Patreon members.
Yeah, for sure. Benny joined with the classic ASL question mark as his first comment.
Dude, we're trying. If we get kicked off the internet, we can't do this podcast anymore. Then it's just a 3-way phone conversation that's going into the ether. You can't type ASL to some ambiguous chat that could go to any number of people and screenshot it and send to more people.
Stay safe out there on our Discord.
No, our Discord's very safe. You don't need to worry about staying safe. You're already safe.
You're right. Just keep doing what you're doing. Don't worry about it.
You are guaranteed to be safe on our Discord. God damn it. It's like minute 5 and we're already incriminating our own show. Fuck. Anyway,
Stay safe out there on other Discords.
Stay safe everywhere, but especially
at all times.
At all times. Thank you, Benny.
Yep.
For that little bit of awareness. Thank you for Beaver fam for tuning into the 46th episode of the Belligerent Beavs Podcast. My name is Terry Horseman. I am joined, as I always am, by my esteemed co-host JP Bertram and Benny Wehage, aka Benjamin Lawrence Sebastian Wehage, aka Benny with the good quaff. We've got a lot to get into tonight. So much going on. I know it's May 2nd, Monday night we're recording this. Middle of the NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs just started, but lots of Oregon State happenings going on that we need to dive into. But first, how are you guys doing? What's new with you?
I'm doing well. I was working on
the railroad.
a front yard on the railroad. I was working on a front yard project of building a retaining wall this weekend, so it was. I made some progress.
You're trying so hard to out-dad JP.
Nope. I got you, though. I redid my entire drip system in the backyard.
Oh, I was looking up YouTube videos on a drip system because
my thumbs hurt so bad for plugging in all the little barbs and wires.
Man,
get ready.
That
I'll send you a link. I'll send you a link that makes it easier though. There's a
that would be cool.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
In 2 minutes or less, can you guys explain a drip system to me? Because when you said drip system, I thought of my closet.
It's like a big hose that it's what?
I thought of my closet. I'm gonna start calling my closet my drip system now. I legitimately cleaned out my closet and made it look really nice this past week. So you guys said drip system. I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna start calling the room with all my clothes that.
That is also dadding it out just as much as JP and I did.
As long of a dad joke as possible. So I'm happy to join you all on Planet Dad on equal footing. Please explain what a literal drip system is to me, though, so I have an idea of where we're going with this.
Yeah, you deliver large, quantities of water to small areas across your yard through a tubing and hose system that places the water perfectly at the base of your plants. I don't know. Is that good?
Yeah. I wouldn't know how about were you fixing your drip system or setting up your drip system?
Oh, I reran the whole damn thing.
Rerunning your drip system.
Oh, yeah.
So I still wouldn't know the first thing about doing that, but I have a good visual now of what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Without knowing a thing about getting it.
Yeah. If you want to get in the weeds, I essentially a couple years ago put in a 1/4-inch tubing drip system. This is we're losing every listener right now, but
I think we're gaining listeners. Actually, this is Hands-on, practical, do-it-yourself advice.
I want to see how long Terry allows this conversation to go. 'Cause I'm excited for it.
I got my wine here tonight. I'm having a good time. Let's go.
So the quarter-inch tubing, but if you're trying to deliver that over like a large amount of space, so I think we had like 40 feet we were trying to deliver it to of like total footage in my yard.
A BJ Baylor's amount of yardage.
Yes. And
see, we're tying it to relevant shit. Look at us.
Yeah.
but it was getting to the final end of the drip system, and it was like there was no water left because the water pressure wasn't great and there was a tiny little delivery tube. So I upgraded to a half-inch tube this year with little quarter-inch tubes plugged in off of it. And also I lost pretty much every sprinkler head because Lola ate them all last summer as a puppy. So I had to like reinstall all of them anyways. Terry's about to like spit up mine.
Hey, I have a question.
I almost laughed at half-inch tube and at sprinkler head just because this podcast. Whenever we record this podcast, it's the most immature 90 minutes of my week. So you really can't say words like tube and head to me, especially with our previous 18 years of friendship.
And Benny's just up in smoke on his camera right now.
We can't even see Benny. Good Lord. This episode.
What if I was just gone when the smoke disappeared? That'd be a cool trick.
That'd be a super cool trick. Sounds like you guys had eventful weekends.
Yeah, how was yours?
It was pretty good, all things considered. I watched the Timberwolves lose Game 6 on Friday night.
Oh yeah,
I was sad about that, but I went to a Taylor Swift dance party at a bar in St. Paul after that, and that made me feel better.
Tell us more.
It's great. There's this production company that does like, I don't know, every 6 months, a thing called Taylor Fest, which is an organized Taylor Swift dance party. It's in like 10 or 12 different cities, and like you have to buy your ticket super far in advance. So a friend of mine who loves Taylor Swift was just like, come to this dance party on April 29th. And I'm like, that is too far out in advance for me to make plans. And they were like, well, it's a $10 ticket. I think you can afford it. Which I could. I'm balling. So the day of the game, the day of, he was like, hey, like, so Ash and his girlfriend, Ashley, they're super into Taylor Swift. They're like, we're going at 8. And I'm like, that's when the Timberwolves game starts. Fuck, how late does it go? They're like, well, the dance party goes until 2. And I was like, either or, I'm there. I'm either going to be crying and drowning my sorrows of a Timberwolves loss and shaking it off, or I will be celebrating a Timberwolves win and having champagne problems. So either way, JP, please play 5 seconds of Shake It Off by Taylor Swift. That's what I did on Friday night. The Timberwolves lost, but I was, in good hands. And then, the next morning I was I was more hungover than, actually it was the worst hungover I've had since like college, probably. It was weird. I watched the game at a brewery, so I was drinking like good beer while watching the game and like not eating enough because it like wasn't a restaurant. So like there was like a food truck and I like had like bits of like apps that like my table was like getting to share. So the mix of heavy beer, not heavy food, the Timberwolves losing and being up until like 2:30 or 3 a.m. Turns out not to be the greatest thing for your body. But
dude, you're not 25.
I know I'm not. But the Timberwolves were in the playoffs, Benny, and I don't have a ton of experience reacting to such a situation. So I'm learning here. Like we said, when they gave up 3 different double-digit leads in the fourth quarter. This is a young team without a lot of experience. They need to learn how to play in the playoffs. I need to learn how to watch my team in the playoffs. God damn it. I was 16 years old last time this happened for real. It was a young man's game.
Would you say, not to go away from what you're very passionate about, obviously, but was the Taylor Swift...
I'm also passionate about Taylor.
Was that like a flash mob that you paid for? Or...
Well,
was it a silent disco?
No, it was like they rented out a bar, like an event space, a bar that has like concerts and shit.
Was it every?
And it's like
song
they're just gonna
Taylor
play
Swift.
Every song was Taylor Swift.
Didn't that get old after like a half hour? That's like 10 songs of Taylor
I
Swift
probably
in a row.
Did someone just play it off their Spotify or something?
Probably. There was a stage. I remember I went up and danced on the stage for a little bit.
So when do we get to do the 5-second party where we just played
5 seconds.
5 seconds of all of the songs that
You're like,
we played
I love this song. Hey, what the fuck? I love this song. Oh, I like this song too. Hey, I like this. I wouldn't call it a flash mob because it was like, I don't know, and maybe like it would have gotten old, but like the Wolves game ended at like 11, so I got there like ahead of midnight, so I was only there for like an hour and a half. And
You went somewhere after 11 p.m.? I can't even imagine
Yes.
that. I gotta wake up and do my drip system, man. I can't be out past 11 p.m.
I was building a wall.
Right. Well, as a single man in an apartment in the city, my drip system does wake up at 11 p.m. My drip system and I go out. We're in different phases right here. But
okay,
no, I hear you. I was very tired the next day, and I left my apartment to get food, and I didn't know where I was going. I was like, oh, fuck, I need food. I need to eat. I had nothing. I hadn't been to the grocery store in a while. I had nothing in my apartment, and a DoorDash of like a Taco Bell party pack had been left at the front door of my apartment building. I genuinely considered stealing it because my body was like, "That's what we need right now, Terry. This will make our day better." It's just sitting
all
there.
the time.
It's just sitting there. There is like 2 Terrys in devil costumes just on my shoulder, being like, "Take it, Terry. It's like $12. They can just order another DoorDash." But I didn't.
DoorDash would cover it anyways. They'd be like, "Oh yeah, we must have had it dropped off somewhere else."
Yeah, I should have. I went to Jimmy John's instead. It still works.
Jimmy John's has 1 cheese. What kind of sandwich shop only has 1 cheese?
They do. Oh my God, you're right.
Yeah.
Well, in that setting, yeah. But I compared it to Taco Bell. I think Taco Bell has 1 cheese, and I don't think their cheese.
They have 2. They have 2 because they have nacho
they
cheese.
they have that
and
new
they've got
queso.
the
Cheddar.
shredded cheddar cheese or whatever, the blend cheddar.
Neither of those
And,
are cheese.
and the nacho cheese
I'm a Taco
is
Bell
not just
supporter.
the shredded cheddar melted. They're two
No, it's
different
not.
cheeses.
Yes,
It
it
is.
is.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question though? Circling back to NBA, circling back to the playoffs.
Yes.
Can you tell the Beaver fam right now who the preemptive favorite of the Beaver fam should be going forward through the rest of the NBA playoffs? Now that you are unbiasedly viewing.
I can. Well, we're still, human beings are always biased, JP. It's part of the experience of being people. But I had a hard time saying this just because it feels like you're being a front runner when you're not associated with, the native land of this team. But I am fully supporting the Warriors of Golden State for the duration of the NBA playoffs for this series against the Memphis Grizzlies and beyond. I have multiple reasons that I can bring up, but there's really only one important reason, or 2 important reasons. The second most important reason is Gary Payton II. Pun intended. That's the second most important reason. We love GP2. He's our beloved son. Probably my favorite Oregon State basketball player of all time. I mean, I love his father, Gary Payton, but I was barely alive in Minneapolis without Oregon State basketball being a glint in my eye when he played for the Beavs. So I appreciate everything he did. I enjoyed his son's time more because I could drink, I could watch him dunk. It was a lot of fun. Also, just this guy's journey in the NBA. We should honestly, I think the Beaver fam and Oregon State University celebrates GP2 a good amount, and I don't think it's nearly enough.
Agreed.
This dude, like the journey through the G League, being on a bunch of different teams, and most of my Twitter friends are Blazer fans. Not to rub it in, Benny, but like all Blazer fans, like remembering that they had GP2, and he's a player that really could have helped the team this year and this franchise, like turning around. Just his tenacious defense and all-out effort, and just being a team first guy. It is awesome that he is a contributing player on a team.
He's a starter.
NBA Finals aspirations. Even like I know the Warriors have had a lot of health problems this year, and that's like why he's gotten the opportunity to step in. But that's the game. That's the game. And even if that team gets fully healthy, you think Kerr is just not going to put him in the game at all. So that's the second most important reason. The most important reason is fuck Dylan Brooks. Fuck him. I hate him.
Oh.
Yeah.
He played amazing against the Timberwolves. I will give him that. Good player. Fuck him. And that is why I'm
What
supporting the
happened?
Golden State Warriors. He's just a
Yeah.
douchebag. He's just a wannabe Patrick Beverly with shittier hair.
Yeah.
Did you say his name was Dylan Moore?
No, I said Dylan Brooks.
Moore. Dylan Brooks.
No one said
Dylan
more.
Brooks.
How high are you?
So would be my answer.
I hate Dylan Brooks, and Dylan Brooks doesn't care. He wants to be a villain, whatever. Dylan Brooks is trying so hard to be Draymond, it's annoying. Draymond is so too annoying for there to be another Draymond in the league. There can only be one Draymond.
Oh, he went to Oregon.
Yes.
That's why I don't know who he is.
Boom, roasted you again, fuckers. Let's go. So yeah, I'm supporting Golden State and GP2. Yeah, played pretty well in that game 1 win against Memphis. Which is the rest of Memphis. I like Ja Morant. If there's any Grizzlies fans randomly listening to this who just want to roast me for beating the Timberwolves, you guys are the better team. Fun team to watch. I like the Memphis Grizzlies. I kind of always have, but from the grit and grind days. But gotta roll with the Beaver fam, and that's
Yeah.
GP2.
Stay loyal to the fam.
Yeah.
And let's cheers to GP2 because he got that start, dude. Game 1.
For sure. We got to do our beverages first, so then we'll cheers to GP2. And it's about that time. So, Benny, we'll let you go last because you have a classic.
Okay.
I think I know what it is. But
I think you probably
JP,
do too.
JP, let's go with you. What are you drinking tonight?
So this is still a remnant of my Road Beers PDX delivery.
Nice.
And I was actually much more under the impression that a lot of these were like local Oregon beers, but this is another one that's not from Oregon. It's from Bellingham, Washington, called
okay.
where's
Love
the can?
Bellingham.
There it is. It's called Single IPA, but I like your eyeball. Single IPA.
Oh, and that is a creature with antlers and an eye patch. So
Yeah.
it has one eye.
And it's kind of a
Like-
creepy little eye, right?
Cyclops
fake.
of nature.
It might be a fake eye, Benny. It very well could be. But, yep, it's a single IPA. That's actually what it is. It's called Single IPA, and it's a single IPA from Wander Brewing. Wander Brewing in, like I said, Bellingham, Washington. You guys want to know what it says about it? This hazy orange-hued Citra single-hopped IPA bursts with massive aromas of passion fruit, pineapple, and stone fruits, complemented by a full mouthfeel from the heavy use of oats and wheat. Incredibly approachable and lightly bitter. That's kind of like me.
You are bitter and approachable. That's a great way of describing you.
Yeah. And I didn't know that until I just read this on Untapped. I gave it a 4. No, I gave it a 3.9. It's pretty good. It's a little too single IPA for me, but cheers.
Oh, well, that's what it says that it is.
Yeah, that's exactly what it says.
I know. I expected it, but it's just a little too much in that world. Yeah.
Okay.
Is that not hoppy enough? Is that what that means?
It's kind of. It's just a little like watery.
Ah,
Yeah.
like skim milk. If you're a big fan
It
of
is.
dairy,
Yes. Yeah. And I am a big fan of dairy.
me too.
I love dairy.
Are we all like vitamin D level whole milk people, or are we skipping?
Yuri
here?
makes fun of me because I have my cereal with half and half.
Yeah, that's good.
It's so good.
Yeah.
If
That is
you've
fine.
never had cereal, specifically Cinnamon Life with half and half, you have missed something incredible in life.
It's just before or after you roast the joint with a massive lighter.
If
With-
I
that's
smoked
been
this joint
rolling-
before I ate that, it would be like I took ecstasy as I was eating that. 'Cause it would be life changing.
Does the bowl of Cinnamon Life also sit in hash oil for a while before it can consume it? Or is that just the joint?
That's just the joint.
Okay. Nice. Well, as we mentioned before, and on the BFF that we recorded before this, it's wine night in my house tonight because I wanted it to be. And I have a nice bottle of wine from California, JP.
Whoa,
It's
where?
called Gold Rush Red. Let me find the name.
Barrel aged.
1,000 stories, because we tell 1,000 stories and more on this podcast. Barrel aged Gold Rush Red, 1,000 Stories Vineyards, Hopland, Mendocino County, California.
Mendocino.
Okay.
Close
And-
though. Midwestern pronunciation.
It's just
Mendocino.
No,
it's
Mendocino.
it's described as the California Gold Rush was a period of courage, bravado, and curiosity. I guess there's only one person at this vineyard. Craft Gold Rush Red with these characteristics in mind. The grapes used to blend this bold wine are carefully selected from the golden hills and valleys of California. It is finished in bourbon barrels, which complements this rich wine with notes of charred vanilla and dried herbs.
Where the hell did you find this?
I don't know. So Megan Maloney Vins, my co-editor at the Under Review, came over this past week because we had a meeting. And it was actually the first time she'd been to my apartment since I moved here over a year ago. So she was like, here's a very, very belated housewarming. And it was this and a 6-pack of hams. And I figured this was more classier for the podcast. And also I had a rare time where I actually, made a nice meal for myself this as opposed
What'd you
to
make?
hams. I made some salmon with asparagus and a fruit salad.
Ooh.
So not crazy, but just, nice.
Tonight for dinner?
Yeah.
Whoa, I
I'm
had a
beginning
BLT.
to love salmon.
Yeah. Sam,
I had
kidding?
you
nacho.
got to. I mean, I've always liked salmon, but I'm just eating it a lot more because I'm like, man, you got to get that protein, but also we're getting older.
Got saline, yo.
And I just got 2 new
Crop tops?
crop tops. It's not brand new. I have 1 crop top. It's more than enough. Trust me. You don't need to take my word for it. It's on the socials now. God damn it! Fucking Andre outed me and my gut today. But I got 2 new cast iron pans, so I wanted to make some stovetop. I had a stovetop salmon recipe for a cast iron that I'd been wanting to try, and it turned
Did
out
you
great.
like smush the can or the pans together so you had one on top and one on the bottom, or why is 2 pans necessary here?
Because it came. One was bigger than the other.
Oh,
That's
okay.
And
did you use both of them at the same time?
no, I used the smaller one because it was big enough for the salmon that I was making,
And easier to clean, and
yes.
yeah, logistically just much more
right.
realistic. I get it.
Yes, and I didn't spend a ton of time on Amazon looking at the cast iron. So thank you,
Fuck
Ben,
you.
for.
I spent a lot of time on Amazon.
No, I don't. I try to spend less. No offense, but I still
Offense
bought them.
taken. You can't
I
take it
still
back.
bought them from. Gave Amazon my business. You fuck.
Oh, okay, good.
Hey, did you know that the guy who made your wine, you know what his name is?
No,
Moldavi?
No, this can't be a real name. I mean, we talked about on the BFF that Travis Throckmorton may or may not be a real name, and it may or may not be German for something. This guy's name who made your purple wine,
Fuck Travis Morton.
and no,
Looking so
is
forward to this.
Bob Blue.
I buy it.
I've never met anyone with the last name Blue, Blue.
We had the Vikings had a safety from Georgia, Greg Blue, for a couple years.
I mean, have you met somebody? Okay,
I haven't met anyone, but I was aware of that dude. And
Bob Blue.
Alfred Blue on the Houston Texans. You probably started him on your fucking fantasy team because you were terrible for a few years there.
Me? No, I was not.
So yeah, I know. I've known of 2 NFL players with the last name Blue.
Well, there's also Vida Blue, but I
You're
just don't
Bob
know
Blue.
a Bob Blue.
I would go by
But
Robert
you shouldn't
Blue.
name,
Robert, yeah.
you
Robert,
shouldn't
Robbie
name
Blue.
a kid. If you have a last name that's 1 syllable, you shouldn't name your kid starting with the same letter of your last name.
And
His-
one syllable
his
name.
His real name's got to be Robert.
I just Googled Bob Blue, and it just is a bunch of pictures of blue women's wigs.
Why is that funny? It is, though.
It's hilarious.
Is this our
Bob
worst
Blue.
episode? Is this
Oh,
our
is it
worst
Blue
episode to
Bob?
date right now?
No.
Do you-
Cheers. Oh, no,
Do you
Betty's
think-
got to go.
Oh, yeah, Penny needs to go. And then we're choosing the GP2.
Oh, yeah. I have a squirt.
Yeah.
And for those of you that don't know, before the
my
days of
God.
podcasting, JP and I had a different more video.
Different is
a budding career, a budding,
Social media
aspiring social media acting career.
Yes. If you don't know, look up SquirtVig. What is the link? SquirtVid's blog.
Don't promote it.
No.
I feel like we're gonna get a lot of people in trouble going to the wrong URL.
No, that's part of the fun of it. It's hard to find, but when you find it, it's worth it.
No,
there
it's
are
not.
videos that we posted about incorporating our favorite drink, Squirt, and then we made a rap video or a rap song about it too.
You know what? I found it. All the videos are private now, unfortunately, because they were unlisted. I can make them unlisted again, but
You got to join the Patreon because
Yeah.
sneak peeks have been posted in the Discord.
But I have to say, if you did want to see that there is a real website that this was official, you don't want to answer questions to your employer or your family or your friends or children.
What about our employers and our families? And you're linking this to the three of us.
You could go
It had nothing to do with these videos.
You could go to squirtvideos.blogspot.com.
Yep,
And
done.
that exists.
that's what I was looking for.
I hope you've been enjoying this very last episode of the Belligerent Beavs Podcast. We have been canceled by the time you are listening to this. Benny is in jail. JP is missing, and I'm awaiting trial. This
I have
podcast
this-
was a terrible idea. I'm so sorry we did it, and I'm sorry for wasting your time. Thank you, Beaver fam. Remember, you can't spell chopping without it.
I have to say that we had a Twitter account for about 48 hours before Benny got it canceled.
I
Because we were-
did. I
Yeah.
forgot about that. I'm telling you. It
And the
would've
handle
been,
was at Squirt Videos. That'd be so valuable in today's Twitter world. This was 11 years
Oh
ago.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
You blew it, Benny.
Squirt blew it. They had an opportunity.
We did tell them we were guerrilla marketing for them, and
Yep.
they ignored all of our efforts.
Ignored it.
So cheers to Gary Payton II, Oregon State men's basketball alum, and the Golden State Warriors.
Cheers.
NBA playoffs. Go Beavs. Shout out men's basketball. Shout out the Payton Years podcast. Any chance we can get to talk positively about Oregon State men's basketball. Gary Payton II.
And on to the next segment.
And moving on, I'd like to remind the listener that
Speaking
we
of,
have- we have a very special occasion coming up. We are recording this on Monday, May 2nd. A week from this Wednesday, May 11th, it is our first birthday. We are turning 1. And the collective maturity of the Babes is about the same age. So we are having a massive party on Twitter Spaces to commemorate this. Many of you participated in our holiday party at Twitter Spaces ahead of the LA Bowl. It'll be similar to that, but we were getting some Oregon State experts and personalities to join us, and it's going to be a really fun time. And we'll just keep it going turning up on a Wednesday until we feel like going to bed. It'll be starting at 8 p.m. Pacific time on Wednesday, May 11th. Have we figured out how to schedule out Spaces?
Oh,
Do we
it's
have
scheduled. It's scheduled
Okay,
now.
so it's scheduled. We'll keep just stay tuned to our Twitter account. We'll keep posting it and reminding you all as insufferably as we are wont to do. But Wednesday, May 11th, we're turning 1. We made it a full year of podcasting. That's like I feel is not an insignificant amount of time. I think a lot of podcasts start and die in that time, and we could have killed this and probably should have numerous times, but we haven't. And maybe the U.S. government will step in and make that decision for us. That is TBD. But in the meantime, we are going to celebrate our first birthday wildly with all of our friends and fam on Twitter Spaces. Again, Wednesday, May 11th, the anniversary of our first episode dropping, starting at 8 p.m. Pacific time. Please join us. It'll be fun.
Please join us.
Yeah,
We're
and
begging
there'll be
you
a
to
time
come
too
to
where
our
we're just gonna open up the mics and we're gonna let people talk at a certain point as well too. So if you got any grievances to air, you can treat this like a Festivus more than a birthday if you want to. Benny's always trying to get spicy with it. So
yeah.
Can we tease
Okay,
anyone
with
that's
some
gonna
hot takes.
can we tease anyone that's confirmed to be joining us for like the more structured portion of the birthday?
I don't want to tease any exact names. Well, I'll tease one name. So Ashton Batuso, who just joined us for the Beaver Fam Focus, the BFF, will be sort of an honorary co-host and helping us move through the evening. So shout out Ashton, way more followers than the three of us combined. So hell yeah. And
what about
also,
Andre though?
Andre Nicotina. Andre's got her. Yeah. So I said the three of us. Andre's not in on the Zoom. So, but Andre will be probably silently observing, but he'll be around. We've got some former football players, some other current personalities. You're just gonna have to wait and see, though. I'm not doing that just to be like, oh, we have some D list, F list, E list, whatever. It's like that's not the order that those letters appear. But anyway. We've got some heavy hitters coming, so get excited. People who have made plays for Oregon State athletics.
Ooh,
I'll leave it at that.
plays.
Plays
Damn.
on the field of competition.
Yes, yes. And even if you haven't, we're gonna open the mics up.
Son. Yeah,
So-
we're gonna open the mic up. It's gonna be fun.
Because we've never done that. The only play we made on the field of competition was when Benny ran into me in a squirt video and knocked me on my ass at the 50-yard line of Research Stadium.
Our minds are on the same wavelength. I was thinking about that too when we were talking about making plays.
And you can find that video exclusively in the Discord.
Give us your money to watch Ben tackle JP.
In my
His underwear. Yeah,
in his
and
underwear.
yeah.
In his underwear. It's pretty good.
with shoes on though.
That may have been the best one that you guys made, just from a production standpoint.
Yeah, I do want to clarify.
The
We made
narrative,
them.
the narrative was very compelling. We need to start talking about actual things before this gets too out of hand. So we should.
This is an actual thing, but you're right.
I'm gonna
Go
all right,
ahead.
make
we'll
your
leave
final.
it. No, we'll tease
okay,
it. We'll
we're-
tease it.
We'll tease it. We'll tease it. So yeah, if you are on the fence again of the Patreon, that's what's waiting for you.
Yes, and
that's
it's well worth
the
it.
Carrot. That's the carrot. One of the biggest thing we should probably talk
Speaking
about.
of carrots,
Oh, we got to talk about NIL deals.
yeah.
Oh, that NIL deals is what's controlling sort of the college sports landscape right now. JP, can you tell me more about this? This is a tweet from Nick Dashel. It looks like.
Well, shout out to Nick Dashel for some investigative reporting on the NIL front at Oregon State. But he has uncovered a plan that the athletic department is intending to put into place where they're able to pay athletes slightly under $6,000 per year for academic performance. And I know that Benny has been a big proponent of NIL and using it to attract not just great students, but student athletes. And to me, for a school that actually does fairly well, at least what I have perceived when it comes to academics and athletics, this is a great incentive. I mean, especially for students who may be on some sort of like partial scholarship or walk-on, to know, yeah, I could be a preferred walk-on somewhere and still potentially get $6,000 a year to cover the cost of whatever I want because I just went to class and did my best in school. Like, I think it's really cool. This is a changing tide of college athletics. There's so much more that's to come, I think, with NIL. This is the first time I think that for me, I've felt some sort of close association to it because this is the university offering an NIL deal to its own student athletes, essentially. It's not a car dealership covering an offensive lineman's tuition or books, right? Like, this is literally the school, the athletic department being like, how can we get on the forefront of this? How can we be creative on designating funds to our student athletes and enticing them to be great Beavers on and off the field and pitch and court, whatever. And I think it's great. I mean, I think this is a big deal. Like, this is showing that Oregon State's forward thinking in this regards. And again, this is the infancy of NIL, but we're already trying to do what we can to take advantage of it for our athletes. And I think that's really cool.
It's proactive for sure.
I agree with you. I think that this, I mean, like, I think it's pretty obvious at this point that the schools that resist paying athletes are going to be the ones that get left behind in the dust. I think it's pretty obvious that schools being able to pay athletes is going to be coming down the pipeline at some point. I agree with you that NIL is just going to expand from this point on. So it is, I think from a recruiting standpoint, it benefits Oregon State for the time being. Now, if we get into a dick measuring contest with some of the bigger schools that have more money to give, that probably won't bode well for them. But I think at the end of the day, there's something to take about Oregon State being a school that agreed to pay athletes and fought and prodded to find a way to pay their student athletes before they were told they had to. I think you're going to find that a lot of schools do resist this and don't want to pay their athletes. And at the end of the day, why would you be against? I mean, the athletes are the reason why the school is making as much money as what they are.
Yep.
So I think that, you want to be have an affiliation with a school that is wanting to make those right decisions before they're forced into it.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I think the part of this that's going to be interesting is how do you make NIL a platform for your student athletes? And I think Oregon State's got some pieces in place that they need to figure out. How do we start this process as soon as possible to get our student athletes paid, to get them investing the money wisely, to get them prepared to use the money, their name, image, likeness, whatever it might be, whatever they're studying outside of their sport and after school, after their playing days are done. And they've got some of those components, right? We've talked to Alexis Cerna. He's doing the Beyond Football. He's the director of Beyond Football for Oregon State, and he's helping to place students after their playing careers in great jobs that are suited to their interests. But I think there's a bridge that needs to be gapped, and I think or a gap needs to be bridged, whatever it might be. But if you look at, great, you give a freshman $6,000 because they got a 3.0 or higher. That freshman should do whatever they want with that money, period. They should be able to. But as a university, and if you're trying to entice a student to be like, we're going to help you spend that wisely to be able to enjoy the money, but also to be future and forward thinking, to prepare yourself not just with the $6,000 burning a hole in your wallet, but what happens in years to come when we've helped place you in a role after your playing days and you've got extra income to burn. And I think that, to me, as saying, you come here, you're going to be prepared to deal with money and have money at your disposal, is so much bigger than any school that's just offering or any sort of NIL deal that's offering some big-time athletes like 6-figure deals or 7-figure deals in that case.
Right. And that's always been a question, too. Even long before NIL deals, too, was just teaching athletes how to manage the money that they would one day either earn or hope to earn, just with the level of, especially in the NFL, just how the rate of players who go bankrupt after their careers are over, because it's people who have never had that kind of money before and then have no one in place to help them manage it. It's, and they just keep doing it on and on and on. Obviously that problem's not going to fix itself. So I've seen people talk about having courses and classes taught by agents and things like that. But I mean, if you're
it should be taught by economic professionals and to
that stuff. But I mean, people who have experience in the sports industry, specifically for it. But also it's if you're all right, I'm going to earn this to help me either with tuition or books or food or lifestyle or whatever. And the university is putting me in a good place to be successful with that money, already at a younger age.
Yeah,
that's a huge incentive. And we think of it through football because that's the big money sport that we just can't deny. But I hope that would extend across to other sports as well. And so it's at the very worst just helping kids get through school, pursue their sport, and get an education. And even more so helping future NFLers and highly paid athletes, get the skills and tools to be successful financially during their playing career and beyond. So shout out to Oregon State for doing this.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see where it goes.
Yeah.
They haven't landed on a number yet. I think the max they can do is that 6,000 or 5,980, whatever
That makes
it is.
sense. I think that's reasonable.
I think that but that's still $500 a month,
Right.
Like, and depending on where you are in your life, it could be a lot or an insignificant amount of money.
Yeah.
But you're definitely when you were in college, $500 extra dollars per month of disposable income
It's huge.
Is like a 50-fold of what you normally have. So
it happens every year where there's like a dude who's a walk-on and doesn't get to eat for free in the dining hall because he's a walk-on and not a full scholarship player. And they talk like they'll eventually work their way to gain a scholarship, and then they can just eat in the dining hall and not have to ration every fucking meal. Like that shouldn't be happening in D1 sports to any student who's on the team. That should not be a thing.
Yeah, the total plan could cost the university $2 million. $2 million, which sounds like a lot of money to us.
Well, what's Oregon State's endowment?
You look at the books.
Over $1 billion.
It's nothing. That's
What's contributing to that endowment? Probably football. I don't know the exact numbers, but
this is across all sports. This is all sports.
Of course, all sports.
Yeah, and I mean, but still, this does level that kind of playing field of who's generating the revenue, and instead is rewarding student athletes across the entire university, and I think that's actually great. I mean, honestly, if you're about to go to university and they're like, we've got NIL stuff set up for football, but not you, soccer player, right? Like, you're gonna be like, I don't care how good your coaching staff is and your facilities are. Like, you clearly don't care about me or the program I would be joining. But if they're like, no, we're going to give you the same opportunity to earn money for your academic performance by being an athlete at the school as somebody that plays a sport that generates more revenue. Clearly, that as a 17, 18, 19-year-old student, you'd be like, they take me seriously.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Yeah,
We'll see how it turns out.
Yeah,
I can't wait to keep following this and
see
what the final figure is and if they actually get it in place.
It'd be a cool thing for the university to do. I don't know what the incentive would necessarily be or how the players could act on the incentive, but to, instead of having a fixed number, do a percent of the money that the athletic department as a whole brings in through like tickets and merchandise and concessions and whatever, to just get the student athletes invested in the other sports and having them be successful too. It'd just be an interesting way to do it.
Yeah, like some camaraderie around the different sports, and like kind of their performance kind of drives your bonus as well. One thing I've noticed, and this is in the Daschle article, and I think that this is something that we can just leave as a cliffhanger because we don't have to delve in too deep, but the school is considering tying the bonus to if you complete your college career with Oregon State instead of transferring out of the university. So while there might be some, who knows how they'll break it up, right? I would imagine that the right way to do this would be to provide some sort of bonus, performance bonus, academic performance bonus while they are taking classes, and then earmarking half of it for once they graduate or complete their eligibility to Oregon State. That's a great retainer play, and I'm curious to see where they go with that, especially.
Yeah. I could see it both ways. I agree with you that I think that it is a retainer, and it's a good way to get those players or student athletes that are on the fence of maybe I'm going to transfer, but I'm not sure. That would definitely be a magnet to keep them at the school. But at the same time, it's like, if you're going to pay the players, like, just pay them. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I mean, it depends what the university is, though. And I think the structure of this will be how my intrigue lies within how do these different programs and universities structure these kind of deals? Because what if some of these places are like, yeah, you could transfer here, but NIL is off the board for you because you weren't recruited out of high school. or if you were and you did not choose a university, you went somewhere else and it didn't work out and you transferred, are you still eligible for this kind of bonus? So
Right.
it will be very circumstantial, I think, when we look at how this stuff is structured. And while I agree, yeah, like just pay them, I don't think that they should eat into their pay to try to retain them. But I do think that a school like Oregon State should definitely reward loyalty.
For sure.
Yeah. Anyway, speaking of loyalty and getting paid,
We had the NFL draft this weekend, and some guys are about to get paid. In total, I'll start with the optimistic part of this. 7 Oregon State players had deals signed or agreed to over the weekend. The important number there is 7. If we're going to be, cutting numbers, it's 1 drafted. Shout out to Tegan Quatoriano, Oregon State tight end, drafted by the Houston Texans, 170th overall in the 5th round. The only Oregon State player hearing his name called during the draft, but shortly after that, 6 more Beaver football players quickly agreeing to undrafted free agent deals across the league. And you might think 1 drafted, 6 free agents, whatever, like that's, a third or fourth of what Alabama and Georgia are doing. And that's fine. That's right. Whatever. When after Smith's first year, 2018,
Zero.
Not a single player drafted, not a single UDFA deal. And this is a record then. So it's, since then, those 5 years or 3 years per Dashel, 5, 4, and 7 this year. So that, I think, is a pretty good and clear sign of things moving in the right direction, is both having and developing NFL talent. And let's start with Tegan, first of all, as the one who got drafted. Shout out
Congrats,
to
Tegan.
And
Yep.
we even though his numbers weren't eye-popping, like the Beavs did not treat him like Gronk in their offense last year, but clearly a dude with NFL athleticism, NFL size. The Texans are whatever, but I'm excited for him because there's opportunity there. Like I might need to watch a bunch of Texans games because it's I think if Cooks is still there, Cooks is gonna just eat. He's gonna be the number 1 receiver. But now I remember. So I was gonna say
Cooks is still there. He just signed an extension. He's not leaving.
Yeah.
Okay, but I mean it's just who knows with the Texans ever. But. I was about to say I wasn't as into the NFL draft as I have been in previous years.
Same.
You guys remember me in college? But I was gonna follow that up with the draft sims I did on Pro Football Focus Mock Draft Simulator. So I was still doing that, just not to the same degree. But what was funny about the Texans is I was of course doing drafts as the Vikings, and then I was trying to do a couple other teams just out of curiosity, and they do this thing where it's team needs. So it's Vikings, guard, edge rusher, corners, Niners, whatever, 2, 3 positions. The Texans team needs were just every position. In the Athletics NFL draft preview, Robert Mays said, the Texans just need actual football players. They're still going to be bad, but it wouldn't be crazy if he's tight end 1 by week 2.
That would be sick.
He probably won't be, but he's going to get the opportunity to play a lot. He's going to get the opportunity to play a lot on special teams. So this is kind of just a sink or swim situation. And there's just going to be a lot of reps to be had for him. So I'm stoked for him. I think he actually landed in a pretty good situation, even if it's a bit of a train wreck for a couple seasons in Houston.
I agree. I think so too. With Tegan, it was very clear that we didn't utilize him as an offensive threat, but we did showcase his abilities quite nicely when it comes to being multidimensional as a tight end. He's athletic, he's got good size, he's got decent hands, he can block, he's a smart player on offense. So I think that a team that just needs playmakers and they need somebody that can be very involved in their offense, whether they have the ball or not, it makes a ton of sense that Houston is bringing in Teagan. And I want to shout out to Teagan's dad, Tony, who has been, I believe, a listener and definitely a follower on Twitter. We're big TQ fans, so we're looking forward to seeing what Teagan can do in Houston. I think, depending upon the quarterback situation and really everything with that team, it could be great. But honestly, I don't know now how to read much into like the kind of pre-draft stock information. I do feel like Teagan as a 5th rounder was a good deal, and I think that's a fair deal for both him and the Texans. I could see a team that had a big tight end need, or athletic tight end need like him, reaching into the 4th round. But I'm just kind of glad he's slotted in there. He's gonna get paid for that round as deserved. He's gonna have a ton of opportunity, as you alluded to, and I'm excited to we got 2 Oregon State players on the offensive side of the ball in Houston, Texas. Let's go.
We are officially a Houston Texans podcast starting this fall.
Yeah.
Andy could be taking Pharaoh. Is it Pharaoh Brown? Pharaoh Brown. His spot on the Texans, who's an Oregon Duck alum.
Yeah.
So that would be cool.
And just real quick, this is on the same note, I promise. JP, how many Oregon Duck players were drafted this weekend?
Ooh, I think 1, and they're going to regret that pick.
the correct answer is 1. And so how many Oregon State players were drafted this weekend?
1.
1. Okay. So 1 to 1, is that a mathematical equivalent?
It is, and I'm really good at math, and I can tell you 1 equals 1.
1 equals 1. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So all of the super hyped 5-star, 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 all these incredible recruiting classes of Mario Cristobal netted 1 draft pick.
Yeah.
Against 1 draft pick of Jonathan Smith's more mutedly celebrated. Okay. I'm just, I'm just trying to catch up here. Okay. So it's 1 to 1. After Kayvon Thibodeau, a single Duck player didn't hear their name called.
No, I didn't. Guy named Verone McKinley enter the draft too.
The 2nd or the 3rd, I can't remember.
Doesn't matter.
I saw him on Mel's Best Available, but I didn't see him. He was on Mel's Best Available for a really long time.
Phil paid Mel. Phil paid Mel.
Did he leave Oregon early?
Yeah, 2 years of eligibility left.
So did CJ Verdell. So did Devin Williams. So did Mikael Wright.
That's that Oregon education for you, man. You can't think well. You don't know what you're doing. It's
Devin Williams, who was gonna come here first, but then decided to.
That's right. Oregon. That was. Remember that? That was annoying. Anyways,
so now after we just go ahead, ask me.
I have a question for you. Mm-hmm. Besides the fact that clearly I believe there are far too many NFC West players that are not Oregon State and the San Francisco 49ers. There's far too many Seattle Seahawks Beaver undrafted free agents.
Mm-hmm. We're about to get to this.
All of that must just pale in comparison to how you feel. I need to know. I need to know. How do you feel?
You ruined my segue.
No.
After shitting on Oregon players who just signed undrafted free agent deals, let's celebrate Oregon State players who just signed undrafted free agent deals, because that is the pettiness level of this podcast.
No, I'm not trying to go petty. I want you to know.
We have
that.
6. Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go.
Well, we have 6. I know where we're going with this.
Yeah.
One of my favorite Beavers
You're
ever.
formulating an answer. I can see it in your face. Benny, I cannot see your face. You just took a giant rip of that joint again.
So the whole draft,
my disappearing trick.
The whole draft, when running backs got drafted, I was like, I'm pretty sure that running back's not better than BJ Baylor.
Yep.
So BJ Baylor goes undrafted. As I kind of expected he would, he wasn't even in Pro Football Focus's mock draft simulator. Like, you couldn't even draft him.
It's just bullshit.
Which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Avery Roberts wasn't there. Keontae Shad wasn't there. None of them were.
None of them.
Teagan was, but was ranked like 350th. So fuck you, Pro Football Focus.
Yeah.
BJ Baylor undrafted free agent, signs with the Green Bay Packers.
I'm still on that BJ Express, man.
One of our newest followers is a Packer fan. I'm not going to shout them out because they're a Packer fan. I mean, Jay, if you want to look it up, you can go ahead and give a name. But I'll
let you roll this. Keep going.
It's so hard. So our good friend Baba Ganoush, who went to the University of Washington and grew up in Minneapolis with me, despises the Packers. This happened to him a couple years ago when they drafted Kevin King out of University of Washington in the first round. So today he texted me the image of BJ Baylor, in the Photoshop of him in Packer shit, with the text, accompanying text, "How could you let this happen? This is your fucking fault." And I already know that BJ is not gonna play, but for most of the year,
Hey.
And then because the Packers are the Packers and they always have a million injuries every year, they'll be going into some primetime game with the Vikings, and BJ will be the only active running back, and he's gonna rush for 250 and 3 against
So wait,
the
hold
Vikings.
on. You have BJ Baylor on the Packers. You have Jefferson on the Lions, and you have Ryan Nall on the Bears. So you have
No, he's the Cowboys now.
Now, but Artavis Pierce is still on the Bears, I believe.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So you
Nall's
have an
on the
Oregon State
Cowboys.
running back on every
Team except mine.
other team in your conference.
Time for a new team.
Yeah.
Then- I'll trade Kirk Cousins for any Oregon State alum.
Matt Moore.
Me.
Yeah.
Well, I'm an alumni.
Alum not.
Anyway, I'm BJ, if you're listening, dog, I'm happy for you. I would have been so much happier if it was any one of 31 other teams.
Dog, I would be so happy if BJ Baylor was listening to our podcast.
We don't know that he's not.
Yeah. BJ, I know you're listening. You took a
BJ,
picture with me.
someone-
My child ran away from us. I lost him for about 15 minutes in the mass of people on the field at Research
I
Stadium.
love BJ Baylor so much. Why is he on the Packers? They haven't really drafted Beavs before,
No, okay,
other
so
than Nick Barnett.
yeah, that was a big one. But do you
That
want
was
to?
a big one.
Yeah. Do you want to know? Yeah, I mean, your level of disappointment is pretty high right now. But I told the mini Bebe Everett was we were watching the first round because the Niners had no picks. I'm like, one, let's see what happens because Debo could be traded, and if the Niners end up having to
You
pick,
could have had our picks if you had traded me Debo like I did in that mock draft simulator.
No.
You didn't agree to it. I would have given you the 12th pick happily.
But as we're going on, he's like, this is so boring. I don't know any of these teams or players. And I was like, well, there's Oregon State players who could get drafted. So I was explaining to him about how
In the first round.
Well, I was just trying to get his
liar.
attention up, right? So I brought up how cool would it be if the 49ers drafted BJ Baylor? And he clearly wasn't listening fully to me say this. So the next day we put the game on, or put the draft on Saturday, and I'm like, oh, well, or Friday, whatever it was. I'm like, all right, it's turning on. It's rounds 2 and 3. Let's go and let's see where BJ goes. He's like, Dad, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, let's see. The Niners have picks. There's still a bunch of Beavers available. He's like, no, you told me last night that the 49ers drafted BJ Baylor. And I was like,
See, you got to be your
shit.
son is at a very sentient time now, JP. You can't just bullshit anymore.
I know. And I
Picking
felt
up everything.
I felt like I ruined him because he was like, no, you told me yesterday that the 49ers drafted him.
Somehow Everett already had the jersey.
I was like,
That
oh
didn't
no!
include you.
I didn't tell him where he ended up, but he was like heartbroken that I had to tell him he hadn't even been drafted yet, let alone by the 49ers.
Oh man, I remember caring about sports that much. It would just crush you.
You still care. Shut up.
I care about it, but that's a different type of care.
Yeah,
Right.
that's when you feel like it's totally related to you at that
Yeah.
age or any young age. So speaking of related to me, I hate the Ducks, and that's very related forever because I hope we fucking destroy them in baseball this week. What do you think, Terry?
Oh, we're moving on to baseball already? Can we at least shout out the other Oregon State football players? I will say the names. Keontae Shad, Arizona Cardinal. Elijah Jones, Seattle Seahawk. Boo. At least for you two.
Mm-hmm.
Avery Roberts, also Seattle Seahawk. Andre Hughes Murray, Los Angeles Rams. Trevon Bradford, Los Angeles Chargers. Congratulations, gentlemen. So proud of you already. Glad that you got this opportunity in the NFL and can't wait to see your pro careers take off. I wouldn't be surprised if all these dudes stuck around for a long time.
I think
thought
that
Shad was-
teams are going to be really, really upset with themselves for not going after Avery Roberts after the draft. That was surprising. I mean, I know that he wasn't supposed to be picked, or like that's what the expert said, but
What is your biggest surprise of the draft?
that was it. Is that he
That's
didn't
it?
even get an undrafted free agency contract. He just got invited to their mini camp.
Biggest surprise, like Oregon State related surprise, or
Yeah.
because BJ Baylor going to the Packers. It kind of fell the way I figured it would. Like,
Did you really only see Teagan being the only draftee?
I didn't think it was legit. Like, I disagreed with it, but just by like the draft like prep that I read, it didn't seem like anyone else had a shot.
I think from just
Honestly,
like my own,
Shad. I think Keontae Shad absolutely should have been.
I thought Shad should have been. I thought Shad in my mind was a 4th, 5th rounder. I thought Teagan was a 5th
And
rounder.
Noose. Is there any word on Noose?
No, I don't know if he's
I know Eldridge pulled out, and
yeah. I say
that
is he
didn't quite
trying to
surprise
play?
me. He's just smart and was like, "I'm done with football." And then, like,
Avery surprised me because I thought he'd be like a 5th, 6th. To be honest, I mean, his last year wasn't great, but he was phenomenal the year before that. I don't think that this shit just disappears from your skill set, and I think it's more scheme and use and maybe health. But I even saw BJ being drafted
Right.
7th maybe, but like I saw him getting drafted, and I think shout out to the Pioneers again. That's the Beaver bias.
right.
It's Beaver
I
bias.
think if there was one that was like going to be a surprise that like I wouldn't have been that surprised about, would have been Andre Hughes Murray, just because he's such a freak athlete.
Yeah.
And has the personality to like wow in interviews. So like I could have just seen him winning over like a total scouting department at the pro day, which could be the difference in getting your name called in the 6th and 7th versus being undrafted. So I thought Andre had a chance. I really just like, I don't know. I think it's bullshit that BJ didn't get any love in the pre-draft process, but you know, he even mentioned it. I think it was in one of Dashiell's articles that like he mentioned around the pro day that like some scouts had mentioned to him like concern about his 40 time, like leading up to the pro day, because they'd seen him get caught from behind on some of his big runs. But
No, because all those big runs happen in the NFL. Like,
right.
that shit's just so dated now. Like, oh yeah, you can't.
Well,
keep
he knows how to fucking run too. Like it's
Yeah.
why like Jefferson. So I think Jefferson being like the 4th to last pick last year, and just him having a more impressive overall body of work, or just a more like lengthy body of work than BJ Baylor.
But they're both smart runners.
Yeah, BJ will hit a hole. Like I don't know if he's gonna be the you're just like lightning sprinter that like teams can use, but like he just knows how to play football. And I know I'm not trying to take anything away from other running backs, but I don't know, it seems like teams like want a running back that they can turn into like Percy Harvin or some shit, and like put him in the slot and throw him the ball, whatever. Which, you know, BJ's pretty decent in the passing game too, but he just like he knows how to play the position, and he's going to bring an intellect and an effort and just a know-how to any room that he steps into. And it is now going to be for my least favorite organization on the planet. So that is something that I have to deal with as a man, and I will deal with it. I don't know. I have a feeling I'm going to spend most of my upcoming therapy session talking about BJ Baylor on the Packers, and my therapist is going to be like, this is for, you know, real mental health issues, Terry, and I'll be like, I'm getting to it. Just listen. Here's why you have to hate the Packers as much as I do, therapist. Anyway, we do need to move on. But yeah, that's the NFL draft rundown.
Speaking of hate,
But speaking
am I
of
doing this
hate,
again? Am I segueing again? Even though my segue, I was 0 for 1.
sorry, you were just a little premature. But yes, Beaver baseball We beat the Ducks on Tuesday, and then we took 2 out of 3 from the Utes in Utah. We remained the number 1 ranked team in the country in every poll
number 2.
except number 2 ranked team. Sorry,
Yeah.
number 2 ranked team in the country in every poll except for collegiate baseball, which has us at number 3. That they were the ones who had us at number
they moved us
17
up.
when everyone was top 5. And we've got 4 games with the Ducks looming this week. 1 game on a non-conference game against our biggest conference rival on Tuesday in Eugene, and then 3 conference games.
No, at home.
Our biggest conference rival. Oh, that one's in Eugene.
I think that one's in Eugene, and then
That one's in
okay.
Eugene, and then the next 3 are at home.
Corvallis.
Yeah, the next 3 are in Corvallis. So, a big Civil War baseball week. We are going to be eating Peking duck every night.
Duck confit.
In my
The
new
confit.
cooked in my new cast iron stovetops, courtesy of Amazon.com. So yeah, JP, how are you feeling after this last baseball series against Utah, with 4 games against those fuckers from Eugene coming up this week?
I'm glad we took the game against Oregon before we left. That was big. The series against Utah was super weird because the times were all they didn't make sense. Like
Agreed.
A 10 a.m. Friday matchup. It was like I'm at work watching Jerpy just mow down the Utes. I'm like, this. It's like I haven't even had lunch yet. This is super weird. And then they had the Sunday evening game, which they, I guess, kind of squeezed in because the weather wasn't supposed to work out for them. There's really no rhyme or reason why that I have seen why the schedule was so weird. I'm glad we took 2 out of 3. I'll take 2 out of 3 on the road any day. Any day. It sets up very well for the next 4, which will wrap up our non-con and con games against Oregon. I'm very optimistic. I don't know if we'll do enough through the rest of the season to, in the eyes of the pollsters, catch Tennessee.
Maybe if we start throwing bats at other teams' dugouts, we might be able to.
I just whatever. At this point, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 really matter?
No,
it doesn't matter. We're
1 through 8 are essentially the same.
Yeah, we're
Want to host that super regional,
We're a solid top 4, no matter how the rest of the season rounds
and then
out.
you get to Omaha, and anything can happen.
Yeah, so whatever. I'm enjoying watching this team. The pitching staff has been phenomenal. They're definitely one of the best pitching staffs that I've seen in this program in the last 10 years, and probably up there with the 17 team.
Yep.
God, I hope we take the next 4 against the Ducks.
Yeah.
And the fact that the one loss that we had last week was when Jerpy was pitching, like that even further diminishes like that loss having really any sort of impact.
Yep.
Or meaning.
Yep. It's good. You're about to happen.
He was perfect through 6 into the 7.
Yeah. And then Dashel tweeted about it.
He's perfect.
Or
He
wrote about it.
Nick Dashel's never coming on the pod. Can we just? Yeah.
We've given Dashel a lot of props, but hey, man,
you don't bring up the jinx to a writer though, because they're already writing their game stories about perfect games and no hitters before it becomes public. It's jinxed anyways, and in their mind they feel attacked. So calling him out on
did he publish a piece on?
Yeah, it was a in-game piece, like.
And I just happened to be on Oregon Live when it got posted, or like minutes after, and I saw it.
I'm anti in-game pieces as a practice. Like that's what Twitter's for.
I'm anti talking about perfect games and no hitters directly, and it was like Jerpy has is perfect through
6.
Jerpy's through 6, and you can say Jerpy hasn't
given up a base runner,
hasn't given up a hit or a runner or a walk or a hit by pitch or
Jerpy through 6. Utah still without a base runner. I mean, like there are ways to.
Or just don't write
a close game.
Who's reading
it's a close
the
game right now?
Piece that's just not watching the game?
Me.
See,
That's what happened. Is I saw it and I was
Why?
like, "Oh shit, they do have a game early today."
saw
And I
it
went on the
unintentional,
Twitter,
I guess.
and then I
That's-
looked.
See, that's what's ruining everything is because like fucking editors and websites just want clicks and numbers. So it's like, hey, put up this in-game piece that 50 people will click on, and we can say we got 50 more clicks.
Yeah.
When it's like, why am I reading this piece about this game that's happening? Like you don't pause.
I'll
You don't-
watch it instead. Yeah.
You don't pause a movie when you're at the movies to read the review of the movie that you're watching. If you
Up
do,
to the
an
point you're
idiot.
watching too. Up to the point you're watching, not
Up to
even
the point you're watching.
Not even the spoilers. Just like how have you felt the intro was, and
Right.
Well,
And
apparently,
someone
I would
said it's-
rush to the movie theater to watch. the rest
Someone
of the
said it's a
movie.
perfect movie, but it turns out the thing was just a red herring, and now it sucks. I blame whoever the fuck on Fandango.com.
I blame Nick Dashel. He's probably on Dashel's on Fandango ruining movies. I know it.
Dashel ruined Endgame for me. He told I didn't think it was the end, even though it's in the title. Damn it.
I'm kidding, Nick. We love your coverage.
So yeah, your Oregon State Beavers baseball team, 34-9, 4 straight games against the Ducks. In the former Beaver category, we have not talked enough about Stephen Kwan on this podcast.
I agree.
He's being talked about left and right, but he needs his flowers from the Babes. Officially named AL MLB, not just AL, the whole the AL,
The whole damn thing.
every L, but he has no L's. He has W's because he's the rookie of the month. Historic start for the former Beaver outfielder. As of yesterday, he was leading the majors in overall contact percentage at the plate. He didn't swing and miss until the 117th pitch he saw. That became like a thing on baseball
Against
Twitter.
the Giants.
Like, how many pitches? Of
Sorry.
course, JP makes it about the Giants. Until there was like I saw someone, I forget the Twitter user, but posted a tombstone with the streak of pitches that Stephen Kwan hadn't swung and missed at. That's incredible. 116 pitches in a row without totally missing. I'm the opposite of that at any batting cage.
Yeah. Well,
That's also on top of the 35, at least 35 at bats where he didn't have a strikeout in spring training.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But I also want to point out, and this is the part that intrigued me the most. And I mean, Kwan is, if you take the old definition of baseball as a professional hitter, he is the epitome of a professional hitter. The guy is smart at the plate. He swings at pitches that are in the strike zone that he can make contact with, and he puts them in play. But baseball has been trending the last few years about, if you put it in play, what's your exit velo, right? And especially against defenses that are shifting more and more often, what's your spray chart look like, right? How are you getting balls, fair and not caught? And his numbers are they blow your mind in a way that he has no hard hit balls almost all season. He's just slapping hits all over the field though. Defying current Major League Baseball logic of finding guys who just rip it off the bat, regardless of their contact rate, regardless of their strikeout rate. They're looking for dudes who just rip 100, 110 off the bat, and he's hitting 90, 100, and still leading the league in all these categories. And that's why I think it's even more intriguing for me, because he's flipped baseball, conventional, modern baseball knowledge on his head.
That's some Rod Carew shit. That's what he did all the way to Cooperstown.
Yep.
Real old school. But it's like Rod Carew said, hit it where they ain't.
Yep.
There's no one there. It's a hit.
Exactly.
And he's just, I mean, obviously I would say this isn't super sustainable, but it could be partially sustainable, and partially sustainable is really fucking good.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited.
It's refreshing to see it. It's refreshing to see it. And also, it might not be sustainable, but who's to say that this isn't intentional? All of this hasn't been intentional by Kwan to be I know that defenses are sitting up this way. I know that they're expecting. I mean, this is just like a junk pitcher throwing 75. I mean, we've got Tyler Rogers. Terry, you're familiar with his twin brother as an ex-twin now Padre.
Right.
His
It's
brother
also
throws heat.
It's also psychotic to have twins and name them Taylor and Tyler. But
I know it is, and they're identical twins too.
they are identical.
Yes.
Very identical.
But Tyler Rogers throws submarine. He throws max 80 on his fastball, but it is so unconventional that the batters don't know what to do. And I feel like Quan is a modernly unconventional batter.
Intentionally unconventional.
Yes, I think that it could be sustainable because I think that's just his approach. And that's why I think he flew under the radar so much, because no one wanted to talk about a dude who had exit velocity and was slapping hits all over the field. Like
Right.
they
Well,
want a
it's
guy
gonna be
who's
a
hitting bombs or striking out, and that's why he's going to have a long career. He's
It's
going
gonna
to
be
have
a
a very long
fucking
career.
joke too when like infields try to like shift on him, and he'll just be like, "All right, well now that four
Exactly.
of you are in between first and second, I'm just gonna hit it at third."
Yep.
Fucking morons.
Yep.
So
Just
yeah.
play discipline, back control. He's got it all, and that's why.
It's crazy that he's able to do that as a rookie, like outsmart the defenses essentially, or outsmart what the experts say you should be playing like.
Yeah, but I think that the experts are the GMs who want to be experts, right? Like of course they're experts. Like they run their team, so and they're like, this is the way we're doing things. Like that's the smart way to do stuff. I'm curious about. I would love to hear the inside story about the Guardians' decision to. Obviously, he forced their hand in spring training, but like he had that shot and he took advantage. So like, what signal to them we should give this guy a shot?
Right.
Because everything on paper was like contact hitter will never translate to the big leagues.
Sure. Well, I will. I'm hoping to catch him in person in about a week and a half. The
Nice.
Guardians will be in town, and so there'll be Quan on the field, and also Larnack, who after starting the year in AAA has been playing
Yeah,
really
he's
well
back.
for us. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's been big for us. So yeah, I hope to get a chance to see a couple of Oregon State big leaguers on the field in Minneapolis next week. We are close to being out of time, so we'll do the bad news part quickly. The slide for softball, it just continues. Now at 10 in a row, getting swept by Oregon, who we must admit is good softball school. They're ranked right now.
You
One
give them
game,
the flowers. How dare
gotta
you?
give them their. Hey, I'm the resident flower giver and voice of reason. When Oregon is good, I will say they're good, and their softball team is good, and they beat our softball team 3 times in 3 games. One 5-0. The other 2 were close. So
They ain't special. There's been a number of teams that have done that this year.
yeah, but the teams that haven't been special. So yeah, I mean, we talked at length about this team last week. Not a lot has changed. They got 3 more games to go against Utah. But yeah, NCAA dreams are on the bubble.
This is my fear. This is my worry, and I think I talked about it as like I'd love to see how they respond against UCLA, and that was like 2 series ago now. Not that I wanted them to sweep UCLA. Well, I wanted them to. Not that I expected them to.
Right.
If they would have taken one against UW and one against UCLA, we would have been in a different conversation. I think we had a different mindset, even going into this series against Oregon. This is a long skid. This is a very, very long losing streak for a team that put up a very equivalent winning streak earlier in the season. And I think this is just youth. This is just youth. It's inexperience. They're in a tailspin. It's a hard thing to pull out of. Honestly, like we have in here, yeah, there's a lot of one-run losses. There's still losses. And I think we see it as a fan, like, oh, they were close. They fought back. They were down a lot, and then they lost by a run. It was a good effort. But these are, like, legit athletes who go, like, I don't fucking care about a one-run loss because we lost. There's no, charity victory here. Like, we needed to win that game. We didn't do it. And I think having that kind of mindset is important when you're competing on a level like the Pac-12 and any sort of, Power 5 conference, but it will weigh on you as well. And I think there's so much youth. We've covered this before. This team, there's like 19 underclassmen on the team. And this is one of those skids that will really, really drag you down. And it's against worthy opponents. Not to say they lost against a bunch of scrubs. Like, they lost against very, very good and established programs. They need to sweep Utah. They gotta sweep Utah, or this early season success feels like a mirage that can be built upon. Don't get me wrong, but like you have to make it count this year. You have to make it count this year, and the only way you can do your best to make it count now is you sweep Utah. And I hope they can get out of it and get some momentum going into postseason play.
I feel like baseball and softball are uniquely your performance is tied to your mindset in a unique way outside of other sports. And so, I mean, it would point to their youth that you have this streaky team where when you're hot, you're zoned in, you're focused. And when you're playing a sport that relies on such a high amount of finesse, when you're hot, you're going to play really well. And when you're losing, that just builds on itself. And when you're young, you don't know how to deal with that as well as when you're established and have had a few years under your belt. So I think I agree with you that this is largely chalked up to the youth of the team.
Yeah.
And real quick, in the good news department, we've seen a lot of departures from the women's basketball program, which have led some to believe that there might be something beneath the surface that's not quite right. Maybe former Beav Aaliyah Goodman is just a really fucking good recruiter, because Kennedy Brown and Taya Crosdale are going to Duke, where Aaliyah Goodman is now, running the show. Not entirely, but, has some power, clearly. But also good news for women's basketball. Guard Shalexis Aaron is transferring to OSU from USC. So welcome to the Beaver fam for Shalexis. She had the Beavs in the recruiting picture for her before she went to USC. So this is another good get for Ruick's team. So, some players going out, players coming in.
She played at Texas Southern or somewhere last year, though, right? This is her third team, I think.
Probably.
Yeah. Maybe not. Maybe somebody else.
I read 2 tweets. That's why it's in the quick hitters part.
But she's also from the Northwest, so I think she's from Washington State, I believe. And so it seems like she feels this is correcting history, that she should have done this from the get-go. And I'm excited to see her in the Beaver fam. I think that there's something to be said about somebody who right now looks at our program from the outside and says, I should have done this all along. That can help calm the nerves, like you were saying, Terry, about is there something under the surface that we are aware of?
I don't think anything's wrong. I think it's just kind of
I agree,
business.
But if you're on the fence still,
right,
there you go.
Talent's coming in.
Yep.
And I think this team's going to be good next year. Saying it now.
Yeah.
We'll be seeing him in person at the PK 85 Thanksgiving weekend in Portland, Oregon. I'm coming out for Thanksgiving.
At my house.
At your house, JP. It was mentioned on the last episode. Benny and his dad will be around in town. We'll have a really a very Terry Beaver Thanksgiving.
It'll be an early Beavs miss.
We'll keep working.
Belligerent,
dog.
That's right. I knew that didn't sound right.
Yeah. God, I keep thinking about spaces. We're gonna have to plan our next holiday spaces. They'll be here before you know it. But we don't want to wish the summer away or anything else. But anyways, thank you, Beaver fam, and thank you again to our Beaver fam focus guest this evening, Ashton Batuso. That's at Lil Butts on Twitter, the editor-in-chief of Flagrant Magazine. Keep an eye out for issue 4 of Flagrant. It's going to be great, and we know that because I'm not in it, so it's going to be especially great this time around. So support Flagrant, support Ashton, support us. Follow us wherever you follow and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Rate and review. Please give us 5 stars on either Apple or Spotify. If you're on Apple, leave a review with something. The text doesn't even really need to be positive. We appreciate it if it is, but 5 stars is what matters. We're gunning to have our rating on Spotify listed. So if you're listening, please go to Spotify and give us 5 stars. That gives us all kinds of legitimacy you wouldn't even know. We don't even know because we don't have it yet, but we want to find out and share the knowledge with you, Beaver fam. Thank you, as always, to my esteemed co-host, JP Bertram. That's at the Trill J on Twitter. He's too trill to be real, and at JP Bertram on Instagram. In Tacoma, not in Mexico, but probably going back soon. We never know where he's going to be. Where in the world is Benjamin Lawrence Sebastian Wehage, a.k.a. Benny with the good quaff? And the quaff is looking great, man. As always, but always got to mention it. It looks spectacular. And me, Terry Horseman, at Terry Horseman on Twitter, at Terrence Horseman on Instagram.
And
I apologize.
At Terrence Horseman in a crop top on OnlyFans.
I was going to say, I apologize for the OnlyFans shot of me that Andre Nicotine shared from our socials in celebration of the Met Gala. But get your crop sweatshirts at belligerentbeavs.com/merch and a bunch of other great stuff as well. Mark down May 11th, 8 p.m. Pacific time, Twitter Spaces, our first birthday party. Please, 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 please show up. Come belligerent, come ready, come with the takes. We'll be opening up the mics to the fans at some point. And please, please, please remember that no matter how hard you try, you cannot spell chop 'em without hope. That's H-O-P-E for anyone wondering. C-H-O-P-E-M. Chop 'em.
Chop them.
Chop 'em.
Bring back Bernice, Oregon State.